It's an oldie, but a goodie. AFL returns to Princes Park, now Icon Park, for a Carlton versus Essendon clash to get both the nostalgia buffs and the lovers of the new faces in the NAB Challenge excited. The Blues, with 6 young stars who are yet to play an AFL game, up against a hastily put together Essendon that everybody is looking forward to having a look at. To tell you more about it, alongside me, 3-time premiership star from the Brisbane Lions, Alistair Lynch, and a 1988 Brownlow medalist, Jared Healy. Welcome, boys.
Good on you, Dwayne. Great to be here. What an exciting time for footy to be back in one of the legendary grounds of the old competition, with 2 of the great sides of the competition. But they're both sides that have fallen on hard times. And we look today to the future. It is Icon Park, but we're looking for icons with a C of the future, Lynchy.
And looking forward to it, seeing these young players out on the ground and so many excited supporters coming back to an old VFL venue, as you said, Dwayne.
And hard to know which way this one's going to go with the odds for sportsbet.com.au. Nathan Brown.
Thanks, Dwayne. Well, this is the first time we get to see the Bombers this year, and they go in favourites at $1.64 up against a very young Blues side at $2.25. The punters think this one is going to be close. So big win, little win. Carlton 1-39, $2.75, and the Bombers at $2 in the same market. Let's have a look at the rising star, and this young kid can play. He's all class. Darcy Parish, $10. Expect him to play a lot of games. Jacob Wiedering, I heard a lot about him. He's at $16. Remember, with Sportsbet, you can always bet live. It's easy and it's fast, but please gamble responsibly.
Beautiful scenes here, the crowd building, and you're preaching to the converted. All 4 of us here love playing here. I'm sure you love playing here, Lynchy, especially, given it was your home ground for a while.
Yeah, it was home ground for Fitzroy for 6 years. I think I played 60-odd games here, but one of the nicest surfaces in the competition back in the late 80s.
Yeah, I can't say too many great memories here. I got 8 stitches in my head once with Ken Hunter taking mark of the year. That's about my highlight. But having a look at this side, backline in pretty good nick. Looking forward to seeing Jacob Wiedering, much talked about young man coming to this club. And of course, the son of the gun, Jack Silvani. His dad was a star here, so was his granddad. And Harry Mackay, also somebody that we're looking forward to seeing. But also looking forward to the combination in the ruck, Phillips and Gorringe. It has lots of potential.
And plenty of new names, old and young, for the Essendon Footy Club. But Michael Hartley, you see there at full back, had 2 years on the Collingwood rookie list, was really impressive over the last couple of years at Coburg, won at Best and Fairest, so he comes into the lineup. Craig Berg gets a chance from the Sydney Swans after a premiership up there, and a number of top-up players, including Sam Grimley from Hawthorn.
And speaking of new names, Eleni Gloutsis is a name that we're going to have to expect to be called out quite a few times during the course of games in the future. The first ever female field umpire. What a moment for her, and what a fantastic moment for the AFL and the evolution of the game. Also joining us this afternoon, the 2-time premiership gun, who I'm sure ran the wing here and demolished a few teams in his day, David King. Welcome back to you, Kingy.
Didn't get a kick here, Dwayne. Right. You know the answer to that question or that statement. But this is a fantastic venue for this game today. There is a real buzz around. You can see the atmosphere starting to build here. Almost a full house. It's absolutely fantastic. They've all come down to see these young kids set sail on their careers with the Carlton Football Club. Pick number 1, Jacob Wiedering in last season's draft, is an intercept marker across the half-back line, centre-half-back. He personifies what the modern defender will be, much in the Harry Taylor mould. You've got Harry Mackay, picked 10 in last year's draft from Gippsland Way, 200 centimetres. He's an imposing figure. Low possession winner, but what he does do, he brings lots of potential. It's a dirty word in football, but you'll see some of that realised today. Charlie Curnow, picked 12, 191 centimetre. He's the athlete. And of course, we've got the son of a gun in Jack Silvani, picked 53. The father-son selection comes with a great bloodlines, as you said, Jared, a hard-working lead-up forward who kicked 6 goals against West Australia last year, also 191 centimetres. So you can see the future on display here today. What that does today, we're not quite sure, but it reads well for 2016 and beyond.
There's no doubt about that, and it's very exciting for the Carlton fans to have another Silvani going through the ranks, and we see there the Essendon Football Club getting ready for this game, and a youngster that will debut, Darcy Parish. He'll debut round 1, I would have thought. Number 5 pick in the draft. And speaking of Silvanis, there's Steve, head of the list development here at Carlton, and would have been an exciting time to hear his son's name called out. for the draft, and he'll get the opportunity to play this year, no doubt. But Darcy Parish, two-time All-Australian from the Geelong Falcons, he is a star in the making.
Yeah, looking forward to seeing him. He reminds me so much of a Robert Flower that I played with, Gary Wilson. I've seen his highlights tapes, watched him live a couple of times. He just makes good decisions, polished decisions under pressure. The intensity goes up another notch for him today. But he'll be one of the young kids that we talk about at length right throughout the season.
And we'll speak about some older names as well. And there's Parish, number 3.
Famous number at Bomberland.
And starting to put some muscles on those bones. Probably played across half-back in his first year of the TAC Cup. Played a lot through the midfield with Geelong last year. And he's an outstanding player. The other one from down Geelong way is the first pick in 2008. Mitch Brown gets a chance with Essendon this year. So he's been taken to pick 54 and comes into this season with some good VFL form. He's going to be a handy player. He's going to be an interesting one to watch this year for the Bombers.
I reckon the Blues have picked up one in Phillips, Andrew Phillips in the GWS. He was impressive last week. He impressed last year, a couple of games that he had for the GWS, and it's been a weekend of young ruckmen putting their names forward.
And they've given Eleni Glufsis the opportunity of the first bounce of the afternoon. What a moment this is for AFL football and the evolution of the game. And it's a ripper to start it. We're underway at Icon Park, Princess Park. Scramble in the middle. Ed Curnow tried to reach in and shuffle it out.
And I tell you what, Dwayne, there was a bit of a roar there on the first bounce as well. Turned the clock back 20 years.
Zaharakis, clearing kick. High kick, Tui, off hands, caught though. And there's Wiedering, first touch of many touches. Missed his target. Handball back was from Merritt, couldn't quite find his target. Slips it back in his direction. And Duck, good call. So a ball up. See Gorringe doing the ruck work in the 37 for Carlton. We'll keep you in touch with a lot of the new faces, and there's plenty out there. Kick around the body was from Merritt again. And Tui takes it across the line.
And he's one of the really talented emerging guns at Essendon, who they hope to rebuild the premiership tilt around over the next few years. What a terrific player and a bubbly personality that's going to be in demand right throughout this season.
Big Sam Michael doing the ruck work as well for the Bombers, one of their new additions, their top-up players. Big hip and shoulder by Goddard. He's captaining the Bombers, of course. Scramble in the middle.
Well, that's what it's been right from the word go, an absolute scramble. A little bit different to the game we saw down at Geelong, where everybody attacked and got some space, but this is if both coaches have come in with the same strategy, and that's to kill the ball.
Wiley, third man up, got it to Curnow. Casbolt just behind. Smith goes back, gets it again. The cavalry arrives for the Bombers. Wearing the 52 is Jono Simpkin, premiership player for the Hawks at his 4th club, given that he started with the Swans, even though...
Speaking of new players.
Yes, Ryan Crowley to a massive boo.
It's probably harsh in his when he's debuting with the Bombers.
Well, we probably know he's back from...
He's not tagging anybody.
The excuse of having the drug-imposed suspension. Danaher flies. And they've got long memories down here, Jared. Just ask... Well, you can ask a few players, perhaps, but...
look at this leap.
Darren Milburn, probably the one you can ask most about the long memories. I think he still gets booed when he walks in here. Comma, short. Play on the call, Simpkin. Zaharakis.
Yeah, good movement of the footy here by Essendon. Good transition. Needed to hit the target that time, though.
Casbolt. Simpson. Tui. Drives it wide. And beautiful delivery. This is Charlie Curnow to a huge round of applause.
Oh, he just had Liam Jones out the back. He needed to move it quicker.
Well done. Good call from the umpire.
And a nice call from Charlie to get it back for the 1-2. Gets it inside 50. High. So advantage has been paid. Wiley gave the handball off. Smith. Clem Smith from the goal line.
Nice build-up. And a few of the youngsters involved as well. You saw Clem Smith play 7 games last year. He's got that electrifying speed, so he'll be an important one at ground level in the forward half for the Blues over the course of the season if he can get his fitness up. But great signs to see Curnow get his hand on the ball early. They worked their way through this one quite nicely. A little bit of an elevated handball would have made Clem a little nervous, but had enough time in the end.
Great work, great to start with.
Good conditions here, perfect conditions really. Head down to David King again shortly, but sun shining, not a lot of breeze, and another perfect bounce to get it started again. Curnow reached in, had a little piece of it. David King, what's it look like from down there?
Oh, it looks fantastic, Dwayne. Just having a look at Jacob Wiedering, he's really proactive as a defender. He knows where his opponent is, but he pays them as little respect as he possibly can. He's looking to go after the football. And I think that's exactly what Carlton need, a youngster that's prepared to take the game on and actually give some springboard off half-back.
Keep an eye on him if you don't know. He's wearing the number 23. And here he is. Well, he almost back with the flight to take that. He'll still get it, Wiedering, on cue. And he handballed that off the boot. That is a perfect ploy if he did it deliberately.
I think he might have. He's done that very well. Or maybe he was just trying to get to his teammate.
But he is a thinker, as David King said. That wouldn't have surprised us if he did that deliberately.
Sam Michael involved a few times in the first couple of minutes of this game.
And that was Brown. It's Brown getting it to half forward. So a few of the new guys having involvement. Jackson Merritt heads toward the square and he overcooked that pass.
Well, he got himself a little bit flustered when there was no need to be flustered. He's got a mark, he can go back. If the early option's not there, just go back, settle and hit the target.
And Wiedering did what Wiedering has done best in his junior days, and that is intercept mark and set it up from defence. So they're away. Graham, long kick, big fly, Lamb from behind, caught a little high was Hartley.
Yeah, well done, Hartley. You see that the shoulders are heavily strapped. I think he had 3 reconstructions on those shoulders, a couple of bone grafts as well when he was at Collingwood. So
good size there, isn't he?
Had to work through some very, very big physical issues.
Grab Hartley from the VFL. Initially, as Lynchy said, had some time on Collingwood's rookie list. Tui wide, and there's Lamb wearing the number 13. Chris Yarran's old 13 for the Blues, delivery not so good, and the mark taken by Brown. The former Cat, Mitch Brown.
Started well, as has Zach Tui. He surprised a few with his nomination in the Coaches All-Australian Award, but I think it's more the point that the coaches didn't underestimate his capacity, even though he was playing in a side that didn't win that often. He had a terrific season last year.
Well, you can see what the assets that Sam Michael has brought to the pre-season this year. He was the last one of the top-up 10 for Essendon, and he's marked the ball well and competed well in that ruck contest so far.
Here's some more booze coming up because Crowley's going to get this. It'll be a long year for Ryan Crowley if this continues, but I suppose that's what happens when you miss a year the way he missed a year with the drug-imposed suspension. Casbolt to Tutt. And he drives it long. It's a wobbler. Gallucci's down there for the Blues with Brown. And he couldn't quite keep that light Andrew Gallucci from the rookie list.
I think the positive from Ryan Crowley's point of view, this is about the first time in about 4 or 5 years he hasn't tagged someone. And he's getting a little bit of the ball as well. So I'm sure he'll enjoy the opportunity to be back in playing AFL football.
Short throw in, McKernan lays the tackle, and that's ball.
I think Sean Edwards would be sighing with relief after a really ordinary handball, gave the ball straight back. Didn't cost them a goal as it looked like it would.
Langford to Crowley, hugging the boundary line. Gwilt.
Good hands, good hands.
Absolutely. Parrish in the number 3. Gets a touch. Good hard attack early from members of both teams. That is Edwards, Sean Edwards, getting it moving. And here's Parrish again. They're pick 5 in the number 3. 2 possessions in this string. All the way back to Fantasia. Danaher had to reach down. Zaharakis. He could pump it. Crowley's gone forward. And almost it is a mark to McKenna.
Well, that was just terrific ball movement. And you could see that the whole team worked in sync. They set up a paddock scenario. The player with the ball saw what was happening. The space was behind, and they kicked it long.
And once they realise who's got the ball, the crowd may acknowledge Ryan's first goal for Essendon.
I thought that was McKenna's mark, but it was Crowley's infringement. And they'll enjoy that.
You might as well get those out of the system in the practice games.
He's not used to having this much ball.
He's had plenty, hasn't he?
Yeah, he had plenty. You mentioned McKenna, you thought it was his mark.
Yeah.
Actually did really well, pushing back hard, good body strength. So that were positive signs there. Now, there's been barrels going through practice. Oh, Jamo's attempted one.
Yeah, but that was a mongrel. Didn't get off the boot, and it's still in the middle of the ground. It's a good result. They were hitting them 70 in practice, weren't they?
Yep.
Curnow did well. Got to Phillips. Keep an eye out for him with the red hair. He could be a huge addition for the Blues. Andrew Phillips, after playing 14 games for GWS.
Surprise omission, Phillips with GWS. And I know he's not going to get the number 1 job.
No,
he looked like he showed enough.
They've got some ruck talent up there, though. But a good get for mine.
Oh, yeah.
Mitch Clark goes backwards with that handball. Tackle slipped. And Edwards takes the mark on the wing. Danaher through his grasp. Rowe. Jamison.
No one to kick it to. He's got to find an option.
Tart to Boakhurst.
That was the best one he could come up with.
He claims he found his foot with it.
Well, I think he did, but...
might have been a bit late.
Yeah, might have been a drop kick.
Ashby.
He used up his full quarter second.
That's right. Well, they're working hard, Essendon, on this far side. Continually, they're getting numbers out into space.
Langford pokes it into that space. Jonathan Simpkin.
It's a good kick.
Stolen by Everett.
A couple of marks just on the grass.
Simpson rode that bump to perfection.
Kick was good too.
Lamb. Pumps it.
That one.
Goal square. Gallucci. We told him a bit. So he gave away the free to Brown.
That's well done, Brown.
Gallucci had the opportunity there to put himself in the replay reel with the mark of the year. It was set up. He just obviously hasn't got the big vertical leap, but that was set up and he went to body.
Is that the Bazusto goal square or was that the other one?
I know where Buzz would have gone. It would have went straight to the air.
Here it is, the free kick.
Like he's set up there, the big jump.
Well, he's thinking, I can't get over the 6'5" of Mitch Brown, so
You just got to
butchered
go.
it in the end.
You know, when you're on the rookie list, you don't get many moments, do
Don't
you?
come much more packaged up than that.
No, could have been a 2-year contract in that. Marks taken by McKenna. Short pass, Langford. They both got on each other's way. McKernan spins out of trouble into Parrish direction. He beelined it. So did Gallucci. Hands it back. Tui. Casbolt. Phillips. Nice movement. Curnow of the Charlie variety.
We're going to have to run it.
He didn't want to waste it. He waited for Simpson. Did beautifully. Everett's running hard inside 50. He's got 3 to beat. Might still get a chance at it. Everett went a little high with the attempted tackle and gave the free kick away to Hartley.
Carlton right now doing really well, rebounding the ball outside their defensive 50. Kingy, they've got the defence right, but going inside forward 50, they're almost moving it too quickly and they're underrepresented down there.
Yeah, it's a good call, Jared. They're just waiting for one of these taller targets to stand up and take control of the forward 50. Getting plenty of opportunities. Both teams are moving the ball quite well and just not getting great reward in the forward half.
Carlton's first free, so the crowd enjoyed that. I'll tell you what, speaking of crowd, it is getting close to full here at Princes Park for this one. This is an absolute ripper again. We saw almost a full house in Geelong Friday night. Close to that right now.
Yeah, no, it's a great atmosphere out there.
And it's very rarely that Carlton didn't fill it here in the old days, and they've gone close again today. Great to have AFL footy back here.
They had plenty of reasons to fill it as well for many years.
That's right.
Great
Curtahan,
club.
Bradley, Motley, Dorotich. The names keep going. Johnson.
As you said, Bazusto in the goal square.
So the driving kick from Jackson Merritt to that goal square. 2-on-1. Big pluck over the top by Grimley.
And that is a great sign. As you said, on the far side, Sam Grimley dropped one, Jared, before, but that was a really good grab. Had 3 years at Hawthorn. He was delisted, missed the draft, and so signed with Subiaco in the WAFL, and now gets the opportunity to have another crack at AFL football.
And that is the Bazusto goal square. Good to see him get up. Can he finish the deal? Not quite.
The Buzz didn't miss his though. Well, if you're going to take a big mark like that, you've got to kick the goal, so you've got plenty of time to replay. Now, as we said, a number of players were going the torp down the middle for Carlton.
Measured kick out of bounds on the full. I'm not sure that's the set play. Measure.
Cade Simpson will go the torp maybe next time.
Bit of a raffle as to who's going to get it. Simpkin hands it off. It's Merritt's kick. Zach Merritt. Goddard. And he grew up wanting to play here as a kid. He was a Carlton fan all his life. He did work experience here. He thought he was going to be drafted here, and then Carlton made that miscalculation with the salary cap, and he didn't end up coming. His mum cried the day he didn't come to the Blues. So he'll be happy to be playing here. Brendan Goddard.
They're going to reset the mark here. There was an Essendon player on the mark trying to block to allow Goddard to play on.
There might come a time when that constitutes a reversal.
Here it is here, the block. So I think it might be Merritt there, just trying to block for Goddard.
Now he runs around. Gets plenty on it. The mark was inside the 50, so it's only going to be for 6. But he kicked it from outside the 50, which used to be a bit of speculation as to whether the 50 was 50 here, but that looked a beautiful kick off the boot.
Well, into a bit of a bruise as well. As albeit a second attempt, it was a magnificent conversion. Here's the mark from Grimley. That'll excite some Essendon fans, but it probably wasn't quite as good as this one.
Oh, that's a great grab. What an entertainer Bazusto was. It's a huge grab. Some great highlights over the years at this ground.
Yeah, stick around, we're going to show you quite a few during the course of the afternoon.
Mitch Brown has certainly started particularly well. He's had the most possessions on the ground. A really good pickup by the Bombers.
Going to show you quite a few highlights during the afternoon of especially Blues games here, but there were a few highlights of other teams here. High bomb inside 50. Smith gets the punch down. Zaharakis to do the delivery from out wide. Now, can he take it out here and disguise it well enough?
Oh, that's probably a free kick against Sam.
Going to get it.
Yeah, just slung him over the line. Just didn't need to be doing that.
Smith under the whole pack and a big crushing attempt to score from Phillips. Over the back.
They're getting it forward, but they've just got no representation.
Hartley showed some poise there. Phillips.
He's attacking the ball well. It's just slipped a few chances in this first quarter, but his attack on the ball is impressive.
High risk got there.
Wilt's kick. Well, here's McDonald Tipamorgi. Wobbly kick from his boot. Right. No free.
Oh, I think it's a free kick late call. Play on quick.
McDonald Tipamorgi again. Goes wide. And Danaher.
Oh, big
fend
fend
off
to the
on
face.
Wiedering. And it's Wiedering's free.
Yeah, just too high with the fend. There he goes, just left arm, just to the throat.
Huge year for Joe Danaher. I think now the expectations are that he's had enough time in the system that he can lead the way in Essendon's season of need.
It's a great opportunity for him to stand up with his leadership and help develop a young list.
Just under 50 games. It's the next 50 are really going to probably tell where his level's going to be.
Play on, Dempsey. No free for the punch to ear. Crowley pursues it. Jones pursues it. Jones with a little tap. Buckley goes back. Drives it to the wing. Curnow in a 1-on-2, and he does okay in the end. He made the footsteps loud enough for Sam Michael to fumble that one over the line. David King.
I'll tell you who's really impressive so far today is David Zaharakis, looking to recapture the form of his best and fairest season in 2011, I think it was, might have been 2012, but 6 disposals already. He looks leaner. He's had a fantastic off-season. He looks to have stripped 3 or 4 kilo on last year's physique, and he will have to really be the midfield general given the outs of this year. He'll have to become a clearance player, which was his game many moons ago.
Yeah, clearance player. You see the leading disposals on the ground. Mitch Brown has got off to a really good start, and the #1 pick in the draft, Wiedering, doing nicely across half-back.
You most expect Wiedering to line up round 1 for the Blues. The Blues play Richmond round 1 MCG, the opening game of the season. Of course, Smith spent that before it earned it. Gets it back. Wiley kicks smothered. Good attack from both players there. And Gallucci might be small, but he's been prepared to put his body on the line. The rookie list kid.
They'll probably use him into round 1, Dwayne. Stick him onto Jack Rewald early and see how we go.
You know what? I reckon it'd get a few people sitting by their television sets watching Fox Footy for that one.
Certainly would.
Looking forward to bringing you not just the opening game of the season, but every game, of course, live, high definition, and no ads from siren to siren. Wiley gets caught high around the ear.
The high tackle. He probably dropped into that tackle as well, and there's a 50.
Okay, this will give him the choice of a 9 or a 6.
And it goes against Craig Bird, the ex-Sydney Swan. Disappointed with that one.
So we haven't seen players take the 9 option, just doing what they would normally do in the home and away season instead.
Some junior football clubs around the country extremely disappointed with that professionalism. Want them to take the 9 points.
That's right.
I think Mark Wiley should have to tip in for the footies.
I'm with you there.
So Finley Footy Club are the ones that might miss out here. From 45, no, he wouldn't have kicked it anyway. Bad miss from there.
He's another one of the plethora of GWS players that found their way to Carlton. A few starting to make up the composition of the list.
A few escapees. So who saw a lot of GWS's players up there to bring them down here to Princes Park?
I don't know who had their numbers on the phone, but yeah, it might have been Stephen Silvani. Well, I mean, realistically, the list build of the Suns and the Giants is around that as well. Give them all the talent, then trade out some of that talent for what they really need a few years down the track. So I think it's working perfectly.
Edwards hugs the boundary. Zaharakis had to pull the kick in the end.
And I think he hit the target he intended as well. He's kicked at 2 metres.
Edwards again. Merritt.
That's good football. Once again, though, that 3 or 4 times now the Bombers have dropped sodas.
Yeah, Dempsey's kick was pretty good, but Langford put it to grass, and won't get a ball up. We'll get a free kick and get away with it. Zach Merritt again.
Here he comes again.
Ooh, a little nudge there, and that's a free kick. Grimley's going to get it.
Yeah, made the most of that one, Sam Grimley, but it was a free kick, no doubt about it. An opportunity to build on what has been a pretty good first quarter from Grimley, but the encouraging signs, as you were saying, Jared, that run off half-back's been good for Essendon.
I think both clubs have been good from defence to the forward 50, and they've broken down. Probably more so Essendon have missed some opportunities with some drop marks, and a missed shot at goal, obviously, that hit the post. But this one is, you just write this one down.
Oh, confident.
Oh, my goodness, Jared.
I'm not sure where your form guide had come from, Jared.
Must be a wind down there. We've seen a couple now go sideways.
You know, you played enough. The Heatley stand blocks that breeze. The Heatley stand's gone, I suppose.
3 games to his AFL career. Sam Grimley.
Well, they were pretty flat in the West at Subi when he got his opportunity to sign with Essendon. They thought they'd got a big key forward, Ruckman.
Phillips drops that. Quilt. Zaharakis.
Interesting drop. Didn't quite get it.
It's hit the middle of the ball and not on the edge to drag it around. And
1 minute left in the quarter. Phillips, a little spill out of play. Expect a huge round of applause when Jack Silvani emerges. Didn't play in the opening
Looks fairly relaxed.
challenge contest.
Fairly relaxed, Wayne.
Yeah, that's probably sauce down to the ground. If you're unaware, I'm sure there's no Carlton fans that are unaware, but Stephen, two-time premiership player, his dad, and Serge, a two-time premiership player, his granddad. Jones. Carlton fans will enjoy seeing that from Liam Jones. Tutt.
Good attack at the ball from Liam Jones. His second year at the Blues.
Just the 9 games in his first season at Carlton for Liam Jones. Good tackle made by Cunningham, another of the new players for the Blues, is wearing the 28. And a good tackle from Gallucci. Hard tackle. And he gets the ball decision. Let's see how hard he can swing this little leg. Could he line up for 9? He got a chance to take mark of the year earlier.
He's going to have to tilt the barrel if he's any chance.
Oh, he sets it up. Hands, Hartley again. Brown. Phillips is in the set. Went from behind with a punch in the end.
Essendon players everywhere here. In tight.
Seconds tick down. Still a chance for a ball decision. And one last shot at goal for the Blues to take the lead at quarter time.
The tackling intensity and attack at the ball from both teams has been pleasing to the eye of all fans, I would have thought. You'd think with that should be a slight breeze favouring left of the screen. He should make the journey quite easily from probably right on the line.
Big run up. Nick Graham, a couple of skip steps. Now the launch looks nice off the boot. And it's just offline. So a good quality opening term, if not a high-scoring opening term. And I think the fans are getting what they asked for. A few of the young stars are starting to shine. Plenty to talk about from this game and plenty to talk about every week on Fox Footy on a Monday night. Looking forward to the return of the couch. Jared, Jason, Brownie and David King to join the boys on the couch in 2016. Quarter time here at Princes Park. First chance the Blues fans have had to have a look at their number 1 pick in last year's draft, Jacob Wiedering, wearing the number 23 jumper. He's had an outstanding first quarter of AFL footy. Blues down at quarter time, but we'll be talking about Jacob Wiedering a lot more during the course of the afternoon, and a heap of the young guns that are playing for both Carlton and Essendon. 2 points the margin, 117 to 139. As we head downstairs to talk more about the opening quarter, David King.
Well, just having a look at Ryan Crowley, who's getting his game with Essendon underway. Number 51, you can see in the middle of the screen here. He's about to finish off the pre-season work for the Carlton fans. So they let him know when he got his first disposal today exactly where they sat with him. Never really been popular outside WA, Dwayne and boys upstairs, but he's had a fantastic start. 5 disposals, as we said, in the first term.
He's going to be a good pickup. He's not popular with all clubs because of what he has done to their famous on-ballers, their favourite sons most of the time. And there's John Worsfold, who's reinvigorated. He's got a big job this year, but look forward 24 months. He should have some excitement and great talent to work with.
He would have had his moments at Princes Park as well. As a player, they would have booed him. As an assistant coach, they would have loved him. But he'll be. He's got a really important job with Essendon this year, and he'll make a great fist of it. And I think Ryan Crowley will be a great asset for the club as well. His professionalism, what he's done over the last decade of AFL football.
I spoke to Ryan Crowley a couple of months ago, and he was talking about how fresh his body is. He didn't think initially he'd be able to front up with a 100% body, but he's had a whole year off and he's raring to go now. He's got another chance at the big time.
Meter, boys. Stay a meter.
Second quarter underway. Clock keeps rolling for the first 15 minutes of quarters in the NAB challenge, and then time on only added during the course of the last 5 minutes. Good attack from Rowe.
Yeah, a bit of a scrappy kick out of the middle from Parrish, but he's another one of the youngsters, had plenty of involvement early.
Yeah, good mark. Floating mark again, and we've talked about the fact there's a couple of players trying to make an impression. Gorringe is another one. Wiley. Short passes and cut off by Ashby.
He's an interesting one, Lynchy, Daniel Gorringe. He was flavour of the month about 2 or 3 years ago. Couldn't never really get his opportunity with his original club, and yet he still would have to be an exciting talent that is hopefully going to flourish at a new club.
And there's the son of a gun as well. Michael Long's son gets the handball to Zaharakis, pokes the kick terribly. The first thing he's done wrong. Tui.
That's the thing. Gorringe was picked 10 in the 2010 draft. An incredible athlete to the stage where he was sitting probably 3 or 4 deep in the ruck stocks. They started him at the start of last year on the wing. I mean, with his athletic capabilities, that didn't really work out, and he's found himself delisted and down here. But a very gifted player.
Unfortunate experience, I think, was with Port Adelaide, who said that they were going to take him, and then Paddy Ryder came up. So that seemed to knock him around a little bit, but hopefully he can just get back to the business of focusing on what he can control in his business, and that's getting the footy in the ruck.
So all of a sudden, the ruck spot is up for grabs. I mean, you've got Cruiser, Wood, Phillips from GWS, as you said before.
Oh, and he might win a free on cue just as you're talking about him, Daniel Gorringe. Against McKernan. Also having a second life.
It's hard to believe Sean McKernan could actually look bewildered with that decision.
I think that's the default, though, Jared, when you get a free against you, to look bewildered. Gleeson. Zaharakis. Gwilt. All the way back to go forward. Ashby. Dangerous kick, but perfect. Goddard.
That's you.
Edwards. Danaher's in the seat here. He's up. Spills it. Jamison might have just caught an arm. Great tackle, though, by Danaher, not rewarded. Wiedering, the pick up, the sidestep, everything was right. Graham.
Can they get it out? Great pressure here from the Bombers.
Just worth... Have a look at Danaher here, and he thinks it was a chop of the arm, just a slight grab.
Yeah, that's a free kick.
That is a free kick. But at ground level, Wiedering, we know he's a good reader of the play and plays well in the air, but at ground level, he looked very accomplished then.
The other thing just to mention from a team point of view, you've got Carlton who have left 4 players who are probably going to play the second half, and those guys are Silvani, Mackay, Dick and Doherty. They'll play in the second half. So it's effectively 22 versus 26 at the moment. So the rotation's 32 to Essendon, 23 to Carlton, which will be a factor late in the game.
For the record, not playing for the Blues at all today, Andrew Walker, Bryce Gibbs, Mark Murphy, Arnfield, Cripps, Cruiser, and Dale Thomas as well. Zaharakis. Tut, caught. A lot of players around this ball up. Danaher knocks it into space to Goddard. Has the snap. Across the face. And a ball in. Not a bad result for the Bombers.
Well, the way Ryan Crowley is amassing the football, Lynchy, the tables may be turned. He may get tagged.
How's he going to react to that?
Not pleasantly, I wouldn't have thought.
Good attack from Jones and Ashby. Hammered forward by Hartley. And the mark taken by Long.
Well, we saw there just good decision making by a couple of players, notably young Parrish with the ball out. And the handball. Most important handball in footy, it seems to me these days, is the handball from inside the circle to outside the circle. There's a lot of handballs go round and round and round inside the inner circle. which really don't relieve you of any pressure. That one set up a great shot at goal.
Yeah, the son of Michael slots it. We saw him in the NAB Challenge last year, Jake Long, still on the rookie list at the Bombers, but obviously with their predicament, so many, 12 2016 listed players now unavailable for the season. Wada finding them guilty of the banned substance indiscretion. Players obviously appealing on technical grounds, but I suppose the bottom line, whatever you think about the banned players and Essendon's recent past and who's guilty and who's not, this is Essendon's team this year, and it's time to play footy and time to enjoy those that are playing, and we could see a lot more of Jake Long.
And there'd be an exciting component for Essendon as well. We've got the opportunity to push a few youngsters up into senior games before their time. Probably if the list was chockers for their normal talent and these top-up players.
Curnow tried to slip it out. Lamb goes to ground. Handball out by Merritt is good. The release to Comma. They had a whole year off. Gets a push. Is it downfield? Edwards hopes it is. It is. To the square, short for Danaher and Tui.
Excellent work from Tui. He's been one of their best today. Good hands from Zach Merritt as well.
It was good work from Tui. He backed himself in the stand in front of Danaher.
He's an underrated player. Hard to get recognition when you're in a side that's getting pumped every week, particularly if you're in the back half. But his efforts, as I said earlier, weren't missed by the Coaches Association.
Oh,
for 9, it bounces and it's through. Well slotted from Merritt. And Goddard set it all up. Goddard was absolutely aware of the situation. Had Zach Merritt outside. Well worked.
Yeah, it quickly played on. Player on the outside. And that's a nice shot from Merritt to get it in. Bounces through the unprotected goal square.
He's got one of the best minds I've seen come into the game in recent time for knowing where the goals are, for kicking goals under pressure on tight angles. He's an exceptional talent around the goals, and I think under normal circumstances he would have been able to mature as a high half forward or as even a high forward pocket.
And good to see a team from the Hampton League. Cobden getting some Sharons heading their way.
Given he's got so much talent, we're going to see him through the middle a fair bit.
We will.
We'll send those footies to Cobden, not Melbourne Grammar, won't we?
I think, Cobden's probably the
Melbourne Grammar can afford their own.
They've got a couple.
Right, okay. Long bomb inside 50 again. Huge pack. Dempsey. And it rolls its way out. It's been an enjoyable contest, and as I mentioned earlier, good crowd in. They're going to see Silvani, Mackay, Wiedering, Cunningham, Charlie Curnow. He's had a couple of touches already for Blues fans, and this new look Essendon team that everybody wants to have a look at from all parts of the compass. Tui. McDonald tipping Woody. Couldn't quite trap that. Clark does. Caught by Lamb. Drops it. Wiley. Tut. Doesn't bend that around enough.
Not enough. It's a bit of a spray from a teammate. Thought the handball was open. Brendan Goddard will kick out. He's covered a lot of territory in this first quarter and a half.
2-on-1 here in favour of the Blues, but poor drop. Had to go back and mop up his mess, Burn, the Irishman.
Interesting.
Yeah, and Irish eyes aren't smiling there.
Had the one game last year.
Oh, cop that.
Oh, that's probably a little bit over the
boundary
over the
umpire
top.
could have intervened there.
That's right.
Edwards.
Sun must have been in the eyes of the boundary umpire.
The out. Here's Sam Michael. He's a big unit. He
Nick
drives it
Coleman.
long. Danaher. Rowe. Simpson. Boakhurst. Oh, he messed that up. He had 2 to handball to, and he was too indecisive. Graham to mop up his mess.
Yeah, it was interesting, Dwayne. That was just a fumble. On Friday night, that was played a throw. Incorrect disposal.
You've got your briefing with the umpires on Wednesday, Jared. You can raise all that at Fox Footy if you can. Get a few out of the way and we'll get some clarification. Sam Michael inside. And a good dance from Simpkin. Thompson, Danaher, 2 to beat. And can't beat Rowe, who fumbled the mark. Didn't get the third grab. Zaharakis into the back of Tui. Buckley.
Stay out. David. You.
Byrne again. Still on the rookie list, the Irishman. Got well into the clear there with a couple of fakes. Curnow.
Beautiful way to kick.
Charlie drives it long, but a little too wide on the full.
That's a classic example of a young player. He had time there, boys. He'd take 4 or 5 steps, back himself with his speed. He is an athlete. And then maybe give it something a bit more positive inside the forward 50. It'll come.
Sam Michael and Jamison. Well, he could have gone for the mark and ended up missing the punch. Blues get away with it in the end. Wiedering a little 1-2 with Tuck. An open space here for Simpson. It's got Boakhurst wide, and it's on behind play, by the way. Comma in an altercation, and Comma.
Well, the umpire's made a statement.
Yeah, he put a full stop on it.
Down the field. Well, Comma's had an angry couple of minutes, actually.
Yes, he lifted the arm earlier in the piece, got away with it. Wasn't much in it, but certainly contact was made.
So he calls the turnover at least. And 50 for being inside the protected zone, which is bigger this year.
Now, Carlton, I think, have a legitimate argument here. The Carlton player was blocking Courtney Dempsey.
So he claims he was within 2 metres, Andrew Gallucci, of his man.
Yeah.
So just as the Blues are about to attack, open field, a turnover, and Hams to have the shot for the Bombers to increase this margin. No mistake. Will Hams off the rookie list. Hasn't kicked a goal in the home and away season or the NAB challenge ever before, so he'll be happy to get his name on the board, Will Hams.
Working really well, the new combination from Essendon, but they'd be a bit disappointed. Look at these free kicks here. Here's the 50-metre penalty inside in the centre square.
So he's watching Dempsey.
Too close. He's blocking Dempsey coming through, and umpire deemed that he was too close. Probably a little harsh, but players and umpires trying to work through the new interpretations.
Well, it can be interpreted as a big penalty, but it's also been a big damage to the game, the fact that clubs have crowded up players and they haven't been able to move the ball quickly, and we're getting major congestion.
Parrish, a good touch in there. Ball thumped clear in the end, but he started to show a few things. Darcy Parrish in the number 3 for the Bombers. They're pick 5. They're all Australian from the Geelong Falcons, and Winch just down the road from Geelong. Knocked down Langford.
I mean, despite the fact that they can be seen as harsh, and his young Darcy Parrish, one of the great talents to come through.
It says his athletic profile, he's average at just about everything, but he comes out as a very polished class player at the end of the day. That's why he went pick 5. Player most like athletically, McVeigh, Jared.
The athletic profile doesn't measure how quick you are between the ears.
Yeah, he's probably tested with, he's got the ball in the hand most of the time.
Looks like a really good decision maker. He's fluffed a couple of left foot kicks, but by hand, he doesn't miss targets too often.
That's right, he's had 2 kicks, 5 handballs so far. He's getting right in tight there, working very well in congestion.
You've got to love the contested possession getters from junior footy. You just keep getting it. And a few more of them rather than the athletes getting a run again with modern recruiters.
And some have both. There's probably one there, Jacob Wiedering, very good athlete and reads the play extremely well. McKernan, Gorringe the clearing kick, but it'll be coming back. Dempsey
pushed up
and
pretty
50
hard,
again.
I think it was for a grab of the jumper just after the mark. So if you're not in the marking contest, you cannot grab the player.
That was harsh. He took one step over the mark there, just half a step. He was coming back.
He grabbed his jumper as he handballed.
Very harsh.
How's Andrew Gallucci going off the rookie list?
Well, he'd been very good with ball.
Yeah.
The whistle's gone against him.
It's a premiership player for Williamstown as well, Andrew Gallucci. He's got some footy smarts, but Dempsey too smart this time. And Essendon skip away. Gives us a little chance with no ads between goals, of course, to show you a bit more vision, maybe show you a little replay of some days gone by. Let's have a look at the Essendon arrivals if we can.
Well, there's one.
There's one, yep.
John Worsfold. Looking forward to seeing Matthew Leuenberger, high-class ruckman from the Brisbane Lions, and Craig Bird, premiership player. But they have lost a few.
Yeah, Carlo Melcham Giles to the West Coast, and then the retirements of Chapman, Winderlick and Dustin Fletcher. So a few changes, and here's the draft. The class of Parrish, Francis, and you just never know what you're going to get out of that rookie list, as well as the top-ups. And a late pick, Mitch Brown, who we've talked about plenty of times today already, might be a real asset.
McKernan thumps a 70-metre bomb. Jamison. Rowe. He can't just take these out anymore. And you have to attempt to kick, and if you kick it out on the full, the rule's working. Goddard to have a shot from there.
Absolutely. A lot of people say how harsh some of the interpretations of deliberate are, but we're not seeing any high-class ball handlers fumble the ball near the boundary line at the moment. It's quickly been eradicated.
Goddard, as I said, grew up barracking for Carlton, coming here to watch the Blues. I think this is the Craig Bradley pocket. This is the one that he bounced his way in checkside gold. Goddard thinks his way through that. Absolutely perfectly.
What iron way to skin a cat. You can do the check side Craig Bradley, or you can do just a little in-swinging drop punt.
Well, Jared here, Big Rowie sort of said, no, I was already over the line. Well, that was a ripper, but what about one of the great goals here at Princes Park? Malcolm Blight. Now this one, he's up centre wing, I think Blight, he says, half-back flank, I think he says, but have a watch how he flushes this talk. What about the loft? It's a 7-wood. It's gone a long way. One of the great goals at Princess Park from yesteryear, and I think Blighty still dines out on that one.
That was the days when you could run on after the game and pat your hero on the backside. They were great days for kids.
Mostly, if you had a shocker, sometimes it wasn't great.
Yeah, you just got off the ground really quickly. The good players lingered. Courtney Dempsey stands under that.
Well, good centre clearance by Carlton. Good combination between ruck and midfielder, but it's not being locked in anywhere near enough. The Essendon defence is dominating at the present time. Carlton just can't find an avenue to goal.
Umpire off the balls, paid a free kick to Zaharakis for the high contact.
Zaharakis having a good day out from half-back. Heads wide, Fantasia.
And the immaturity of the Carlton midfield really is hurting them. Just can't transition the ball inside forward 50.
Good fist by Curnow. And sidestep from Fantasia wasn't quite as good as the kick. Ball in. Warm afternoon. Plenty of rotations. Unlimited rotations allowed in the NAB challenge, but when we hit the season proper, it's capped at 80 or 90 if you like. Horrible ball in.
They're going to throw it again.
And we haven't really noticed at all Eleni Gluftis, the female umpire, umpiring for the first time, female this afternoon. She's got most things right.
Well, the centre bounce was the most pressured act of the NAB challenge to date, and she performed it magnificently at the opening bounce. Went straight up. What sort of pressure was that?
She did very well, she did.
First female field umpire with the ball, opening bounce, and it was spot on.
Yeah, there was a beautiful moment. The crowd rose to it. Absolutely. Fantasia from half-back. Here's Parrish.
Where Essendon are just cutting Carlton to ribbons through this middle.
Merritt just spills that after getting it from Langford. Delivery from Simpkin. Cut off again by the intercept mark specialist from the under-18s, Jacob Wiedering. The kick not so good, but The kid looks pretty good.
Well, Carlton had pushed their defenders up to try to block. And speaking of bounce, take us through this one, Dwayne.
Well, this is pressure personified, as Jared said.
And history.
And the crowd had roared just as she's about to bounce.
Yeah. And well done to the AFL and the umpiring fraternity for giving her the opportunity, and well done for her for being up to the pressure. And there is a lot of pressure out there. She's done well so far, and so well. We haven't really mentioned her until now.
Here's Sam Michael again.
Big unit through the pack. And no, it's spilt by Grimley. It's had an impact forward. Rowe just makes it somebody else's problem.
Right now, Carlton are lucky that the collective Essendon forward line have dropped about 4 that they should have swallowed, all within Soda
effort of
kicking shots of the goal.
Pre-season.
Moving on.
Three and a half minutes left. Second term, warm conditions. Oh, he pumped onto his back hard, holding the ball. Had his arms free. Bird, another of the new recruits for the Bombers. Bird sends it long. Danaher from 3 deep. Graham. 2-on-1. Curnow the 1 for the Blues, and tried to keep it alive.
You mentioned Nick Graham. He's looked pretty good in this first half. Had 14 disposals so far.
Little brother off, big brother on. Curnow for Curnow.
One of the better players, Graham, for Carlton so far today.
Well, lets that throw in go. Parrish kept his feet.
And copped a whack to get the free kick as well.
He's looked really comfortable in the high traffic areas today. I just think that this is, and we know he's a pick 5, so he's a high selection, but he looks just a ready-made AFL player.
Danaher, Grimley, both jump. Tui, Simpson, Tui. Wobbly handball wide, made it tough for Jamison. Buckley. Clever there. Curnow, well worked, Blues. Tui to drive it long. Kaz Bolton, a 1-on-1. We've hardly seen him. Great hands, open space ahead. He needs someone to run into it. Andreas Everett. 60 from goal. There is no Blue player inside 50. Now Graham gets there. He shorts it to Tui, who can launch a ball. This is the bloody flank.
Yeah, not quite this far, I don't think.
Sends it to the square. Through hands. Casbolt couldn't get there. Mitch Brown does. Goddard. Gleeson. Amazing trap in the end from McKenna. Threw the boot out. Not sure that's how you teach the kids, but it worked. Crowley. McKenna. Dumped after. Downfield. Grimley.
This is great football.
So Merritt can roll his way to goal here. Jackson, Merritt. They're looking quality, the Bombers at the moment.
It's that deep defence and the transition through the middle of the ground that's really opening up Carlton. Just
they're exposed athletically both ways there.
Yeah.
They didn't push hard enough to get forward. And so when Andreas Everett had the ball, they weren't anybody down there, and I was watching them just in jog mode going through the middle. And then it was a quick transition back into defence, and the same group of midfielders for Carlton didn't push hard enough into defence. So we understand how immature they are at the present time. They're miles off the pace athletically, if that's what they're producing.
Yeah, so both times they were caught in the middle. And a good result there for Jackson Merritt. 40 points now.
So Carlton with 6 players today, never played a senior AFL game, and Essendon with 4. As Danaher marks inside.
It's actually 50. And Joe Danaher worked that very nicely, I think, actually. He just looped around the Carlton player.
Andrew Gallucci wasn't there again, was he?
He's just worked around to draw the 50-metre penalty. I think he had the choice to go inside. It wouldn't have been the 50, but very nicely if he's meant to do that.
54 points on the board now, the Bombers to Carlton's 8.
Yeah, it's just deficit starting to get pretty ugly now. So he takes the mark and then goes around the back. Yes, he does too. Just goes around in front of the Carlton player rather than the back. He changed direction, so...
I think that was only because Joe was actually the bigger body coming through. Nice call.
What are we expecting
for the 50?
What are we expecting the Carlton player to do there?
Oh, no, nothing at all. But technically it's correct, but it's just harsh.
It's a win for the kids in the street, I know that. That ball went straight over the top of the legend stand.
Let's not make that the precedent. There is still such a thing as the occasional wrong decision.
Well, I think so. That's right.
And I think that come the main season probably won't be 50, but there's another one we'll get clarified Wednesday. From the ball up. Danaher, hard to Boakhurst. Gang tackling from the Blues. So they look good in their opening NAB Challenge contest. Carlton not so good in this one. Their NAB 1 was a loss to Hawthorn. Their NAB 3 is against Sydney at Etihad Stadium. So they've got one more after this to fine-tune things. For those unaware, this is Essendon's first NAB Challenge game. They play a game against Geelong at Shepparton, their next game, and then their last game in Perth against the West Coast Eagles at Domain Stadium. And then it's round one. As I mentioned earlier, the Blues open the season that you'll see on Fox Footy at the MCG Thursday, March 24, or Easter Thursday, if you'll allow me, at Essendon up against the Gold Coast at Metricon in their round one clash for 2016. 56 seconds from the half.
Been a good battle in the ruck.
There were two new players for their respective teams, Michael and Phillips, and Gorringe has been going through there as well at different times.
Straight back.
I think, again, Michael is getting his hands on the ball a lot, and his second and third efforts is something that's really stood out. Gets his second chance. Is trained as an academy player with the Gold Coast Suns about 4 years ago, didn't get listed, and then had a couple of years with the Brisbane Lions before heading down to Redlands in Queensland.
I'll be hoping that nothing happens to Steph Martin, the Brisbane Lions, given that Leuenberg is not there.
Well, that's the thing. They've
Not there.
decided to let Leuenberger go, and saw young Archie Smith, who incredibly talented athlete, had a crack against the Gold Coast Suns last week. But yeah, Steph Martin, the Brisbane Lions' most important player going into this season.
So Lynchy, you have to hurry up and kick this, or it'll be half time. So they kind of had an opportunity there, the Bombers, but wasted it a little. But the Bomber fans that have turned out here at Icon Park, the old Princess Park, have got their money's worth. This is a good showing from a list that's been put together later than most lists. Some of them, like Sam Michael, only found out a week ago that he was going to be part of it. And right now, they are on track for a victory in their first NAB Challenge clash. Looking forward to footy coming back, as I said, not just round one, but bounce. I think we're looking forward to it coming back. Who knows what's going to happen in 2016. A bit of the old and the new at Icon Park / Princess Park. The new being the new players for the Bombers and the Blues on display, and the old being this beautiful old oval, which was the number 2 ground in Victoria for quite a while. Home ground to not just Carlton, but Hawthorn, Fitzroy. Bulldogs played their home games here for a little while as well. Won Super Goal 7-3-54. The Bombers teaching the Blues a lesson as it stands right now. And the top-up players for the Bombers, Lynchy, have done an extremely good job.
Yeah, I think they have. It's been very pleasing to see the likes of Ryan Crowley, we saw had a number of possessions early in the first quarter. And Sam Michael, I think, has been the standout. I think through the ruck, he's got his hands on the ball, works extremely hard at ground level as well. And Mitch Brown's another. I think just the way he can play across half-back, I think he's a really good draft pick. As we said, he was the first draft pick for Geelong back in 2008. Just didn't get any continuity with his playing or training back then, but
and it was hard to get into that side, wasn't it?
Oh, yeah, it's a tough one to get in. Here's Sam Michael. big man. He's matured over the last few years with his body size. And Sam Grimley, another player, spent a few years at Hawthorn, missed his opportunity, got overlooked in the draft, but now after signing with Subiaco, he's back.
So Wiedering looked extremely good. We've seen Charlie Curnow, some of the draftees for the Blues. We're going to see a few more. Silvani and Mackay no doubt will play in the second half, but so far so good for the Blues. The scoreboard doesn't look good, but the young players do.
Well, certainly Jacob Wiedering, he looks like he's ready to roll. David King has blown his trumpet a number of times and it's been in tune as well. I think these young kids are just going to get better and better. They're going to be exposed at various stages as they have been collectively through the middle of the ground. But the early signs are pretty good for the Blues.
David King's down in the Carlton rooms. What have you got for us, Kingy?
Very quiet down here, Dwayne. They're in the back office there talking about what's happened in that first half. But I've been on Jacob Wiedering watch all day, just trying to assess whether he is a man you can build a defence around. That's been all the talk of the summer. Number one pick. He's obviously a boom recruit for the Carlton Football Club. He's an intercept player. And we've likened him to Harry Taylor, who, when he was first drafted with pick 17, 8 or 9 seasons ago, as a 21-year-old, we thought that they'd play a similar role. We know that he prefers to mark the ball rather than spoil, and his 10 possessions today, 5 of those have been intercepts. So that has actually rung true that form line. You can just see his positive mindset. He's looking to get them into pure turnover as quick as he possibly can. Have a look at a young Harry Taylor. This is his first time in the big time of AFL football. In his first year, he took 11 contested marks. He's had 35 on average the last 5 years. And I think that's what we've got to do. Maybe just temper a fraction what we expect from Jacob Wiedering from minute one. I know this is pre-season, but we've got to temper it a fraction.
Yeah, spot on. I think it's a big ask for an 18-year-old to come in and really dominate at AFL level, but he's a very efficient player, and so he's not going to just mark the ball in contests. A lot of it is he reads the ball so well, and something we've seen in the first half. Drops off his opponent and takes those intercept marks.
Pleasure to be here watching it unfold. Half-time here at Icon Park. A few of the Bombers who will be watching on during 2016 are watching on, but he'll be part of the Fox footy team. Dyson Heppel, part of AFL 360. Second half, straight after the break.
Bradley from behind Madeira. Out towards the wing it goes. Craig Bradley with the run of it. The crowd rising as one. McKay, back to Bradley. What a goal this would be. Banana kick by Bradley.
Mr. Consistent, Craig Bradley, the game's record holder for the Blues. 375 games he played, 5 bad ones, 370 good ones. He was a great.
What a champ.
Good luck trying to name those 5 bad ones. He didn't play too many, that's for sure.
Absolutely. Essendon doing well this afternoon. Jared and Robbo have been on Essendon Watch for years now. Let's have a listen to what they've got to say about Essendon for 2016.
Dwayne, thank you. Our first look at Essendon under John Worsfolder and on the 2-minute scramble and our 360 pre-season forecast, Robbo. It's the Dons.
They should have put a 2-minute scramble on the whole Asada AFL investigation. It would have been really nice.
What's the best Essendon can hope for on field in 2016?
To finish last and get the first round draft pick for next year. That is the big picture. The smaller picture is to get games into second-year players like Laverty. Who else, Jared? Get your book out while I talk. Laverty, and then just watch the development of Zach Merritt. Watch the development of the draft pick this year. Darcy Parish, who went at 4, one of the better. But it's Edwards and there's a few others. Langdon, that's his name. So watch their development. But what Essendon have got to do is, lots going to happen off-field more than on-field. I really do. They've got to get all their players to re-sign. We know that Carl Hooker is one that Fremantle Dockers have got their hooks into as well. So if Essendon finish last, I'll put this scenario to you, Jared. Essendon finish last on 2 wins or 1 win, and Carl Hooker leaves the club. Guess what? Essendon will probably get pick 1, pick 2 in next year's national draft.
So just with 16, does wins and losses matter?
No.
Not at all?
I don't know if you read, Brendan Goddard spoke to Herald Sun recently.
Yep.
He's not even considering
Yep.
wins and losses. It's about development and getting the group in a better place, better shape.
Yep.
So when the 12 return, they'll be able to compete.
I'm with you there. Is this a team that might not win a game?
Yes. Well, they're behind. They're behind Melbourne. They're behind St Kilda. Are they behind Carlton?
Well, that's sort of the tricky question.
Well, that's between those two
maybe
teams.
That's the only game.
It might be. They're not going to beat GWS unless Brisbane really fall in a hole again.
Right, so it's got to be something other than wins and losses for Essendon. We have a bit of a hook in the 360 family to the Essendon lineup, and that's Dyson Heppel, who's in a gap year enforced upon him. He'll be on Thursday nights with Brian Lake to contemplate footy as it is. Bob Murphy in there as well. So Heppel promises to be a fascinating figure, a study of a man who can't play footy during the year. We're back on March 21. We're back now to the Dons and the Blues with Dwayne Russell.
Boys, a pessimistic outlook for Essendon from the boys from AFL 360, but an optimistic outlook if you've seen the first half here from the Bombers. They lead by 46 after the break. One of the all-time greats from Icon Park, an icon, Simon Madden. Sun shining at Icon Park, and the Bombers putting on a show at the moment. We'll see what the Blues can do at home in the second half shortly. But it's time for McDonald's Trivia. Gentlemen, Alistair Lynch and Gerard Healy, here's your question. Which player won the Michael Tuck and Brownlow medal, best in the pre-season grand final and best in the main season in the same year? And the hint is he's from one of these two clubs.
Well, it's your very, very elite club, Gerard. You want to name him?
Well, I was thinking about Diesel initially, but I'm not sure that he picked up the tuck. So you'd immediately then go to Brownlow medalists from the Bombers, which is Michael Long and Gavin Wanganeen in 1993.
You would have got there through a process of elimination. Speaking of superstars, can I throw up greatest of all time? Ruckman, Simon Madden. He's downstairs with David King.
He was the greatest of all time, and he's still the great man of football.
I'm not going to disagree. Somebody brings that out. How can I say no? Thanks very much. Really appreciate it.
Princes Park, you played 378 games of VFL, AFL football, 22 of those games here. What are your memories of Princes Park?
The crowd, coming through the crowd, they're harsh, the Carlton supporters. I remember Justin chasing me from the centre down there, and I knew I was going to get a long goal because he couldn't catch me. And then Neil Danaher kicking 4 goals in the last quarter to turn a game around when Mike Fitzpatrick, who now runs the league, had the ball, kept it for too long, had it taken off him, turned around, and we won the game.
There's another son of a gun there, Jack Silvani, making his...
Well, his old man can play a bit.
He can play a bit. You've had some tussles with him?
Well, mate, he was Spider-Man. You can watch him. If you play down the forward line he played on, he'd just wrap you up. He'd put you this cocoon around you. It was unbelievable.
What have you made of the Bombers so far today? It's been enjoyable.
Look, very enjoyable. I mean, it's early days, so you've got to see which side's more balanced. But look, we were just hoping that the new coach, the young players and the top-up players would gel together, and at the moment they've gelled very well.
We might keep Simon Madden around for a little while with you, Kingy. We're about to get underway here, second half. There's been a slight rotation, of course, and we will see Jack Silvani wearing the number 2, not his dad and his grandfather's number 1. He's gone the number 2, but 1 and 1 makes 2, according to him. That's why he's wearing it. Graham, wrapped up in the tackle.
You just got to question the handball. Why is he calling for it? Why is he giving it? It didn't hit the target for starters, but he was swallowed up. And just on our McDonald's trivia question, I think my powers of deduction was conflating the Norm Smith medal and the Brownlow medal, because I'm sure Michael Long won one of them, and it wasn't the one I thought.
Norm Smith.
Very nice.
Longy was very happy there for a few minutes. He'd given him a Brownlow.
Retrospective.
Quilt. In fact, it's hands, I should say. Inside. Zaharakis back to Edwards. Sidesteps back against the grain. Gleeson pokes that to half forward. A good mark taken by Long. Speaking of Longy, gives it up. The son of that gun. Langford a wobbler. Pick-off mark again. And, well, we've talked about his pick-off mark ability, but Jacob Wiedering has done pretty much everything right so far.
Just strong hands in the contest for an inexperienced player.
Here's Silvani's first. Won't get a chance because Brown wins a free kick.
Simon Madden is still with us. He's been a really good pickup for you, Simon. Mitch Brown.
Oh, look, mate, he looks very, very composed, and yes, he has. He's strong, fast, big, and as I said, very composed. So we like what he's done already.
While you're running hot, Simon, tell us.
Danaher nearly pulled down a ripper in front of you just to bring the crowd to life.
Almost a Simon Madden type
Yes.
skyscraper. Here it
You're
is.
just making it up as you go along, boys.
Have a look at these.
Yeah, he's just got to hang on. He's nearly there. Couple more games, he'll be fine.
Nice lead.
Let's go to the topic of the week, Simon, which was the third man up jumper in the ruck contest. What's your thoughts on it?
I have no problems with it, but I always think that...
Hang on a sec, Simon. Silvani was about to get a touch, so I was going to just hold for the raw, but I think Jared's question needs answering for all of our benefits, if you can.
Yeah, look, I think we've overcomplicated. There was a time when the ruckman was allowed to hit the ball long, and all the midfield coaches said, no, you can't do that anymore. So every ruckman knows how to hit the ball about a metre and a half, and then somewhere along the line somebody said, why don't you put another bloke up and he can punch it long? But we were allowed to do that when we were ruckman a long time ago. So I have no problem with it. It just depends on where you're putting your knees and whose kidneys the knees are going into. So you've got to be careful about that part.
Here's Danaher on the end of this pass. Super goal range if he wants to have a crack.
Needs to go deep quickly.
Hits the top of the square instead. Big fly, and there's another one over the top. We've seen some spectacular leaps so far this afternoon, and there's another Simon Madden-esque mark in the goal square.
Yeah, grimly again, I think it is. He's taken a couple of good marks right of screen. It was a good, strong jump, and might have had a little word to the Carlton defender on the way down just to let him know about the good catch. That is a good leap.
Boys, one of the things with blokes like that is their timing of the leap. The ones he's done today, it's just not haphazard. He's really been able to take the 1, 2, 3 step to get the hands on the ball.
Can he finish the deal this time? He's messed a couple up. And they surge further ahead, the Bombers.
Simon, you've had to rejuvenate your list for obvious reasons, but the ruck stocks, you've added a couple of new players. We've seen Sam Michael out there, Matty Leuenberger as well. How do you see the stocks moving forward?
Yeah, and the big ex-Melbourne player Jamar as well. Look, I think we'll be all right. I think McKernan, although some people see him as a filling ruckman, his second and third efforts are fantastic and he can go forward. Jamar's really big and strong experience, and we've got a couple others as well. So I think we've come out of this, considering we've lost Tommy Bell-Chambers, I think we've come out of this pretty well.
We'll let you get back to having a watch, Simon. Really appreciate your time, and I hope you enjoy seeing the evolution of this new Essendon side.
No, thanks very much, boys. I'm glad you stopped. I was nearly going to send you an invoice. Okay, thanks.
He still hasn't lost his sense of humour as well, which is fantastic. Bouncing ball half forward, tackle on long, and it's a little high as well, by the way. And there's some anger out there. McKenna won't let him up in a hurry, or is he not letting him up? And he drags Graham down. They all come in.
The locals in front of the old social club are getting into it.
Which is the new social club.
Yeah, it's very much a different looking venue to what it used to be.
Jones gets a chance to leap at this one. A hand to it, just a half a hand. Gallucci's look good. Gets this one to Buckley. Speaking of sons of guns, run down by Gleeson. Too high.
The hard summer weather on the ground just bounced over his head, Dylan Buckley.
Danaher sold that one nicely. It's the pass target. Dempsey, short. Danaher. And Zaharakis running outside. Run down by Gallucci. It might still go to Zaharakis. He marks on the 50, so it'll only be for 6. But he's got McKernan and Merritt. Goal square. Missed both.
That was an opportunity for an intercept mark in defence. Boakhurst went the punch. The punch doesn't do enough to get it out of the...
Merritt has bent that back, but not enough, and knocked through for a behind by Matthew Dick, who we didn't see in the first half. There is the great Michael Long.
The new Brownlow medalist, as Jared has introduced him.
Should have got one.
Yeah, that's right.
Fantastic
Great
player.
There's his son.
And one of the great finals campaigns that led them to a flag.
As you were saying about the composure for some players to mark the ball when they elect to punch.
Yeah.
That you usually see from youngsters. Wiedering's had the composure to take the mark already in his
I didn't get
first
two fists
season.
on it like Blaine Boakhurst. He's a ball winner, a ball handler. He should have been able to swallow that.
Yeah.
And the game is all about getting the ball back these days in defence. It's not just about negating and spoiling. It's intercepting and getting it into defence as quickly as possible. And that was one where he needs to address it. Next time it comes his way, snaffle it.
Buckley, the race back, goal square. Phillips is trying to hunt back there and then had to turn around and realise the ball's there for him. Here's Boakhurst.
Oh, here he is.
Hands it off. Well, he deserves this. And a big round of applause, a bit of a cold hero. Slams it home.
So he should be. He's actually been involved. There was a couple of free kicks that went against him earlier in the day, but he's had his hands on the ball.
He's got a Carlton name as well.
Nicolucci, and a very exciting little player. Sort of didn't get drafted in his early years and sort of spent a couple of years at Williamstown. Only played I think 2 games in his first 2 seasons at William, and then had a big year last year. Kicked plenty of goals as a small forward, and is quite, you understand why he's earned the right to be drafted and play AFL football.
He's a worker. His work rate has been on display. He's showing a few of his older teammates just how it's done in the middle, up and back.
29 goals from 18 games last year at Williamstown.
22 years of age, so still got a bit of time. He won't grow anymore, but might grow as a footballer. There he is with a little nudge there. Gives a free kick away, Galucci.
Free kicks against might be starting to stack up against him. But that's all right. Yes, I don't think he will put any centimetres on the 178 centimetre frame at this stage of his life.
There was a time a few years ago they just put a line straight through you at that height, but good to see both talls and smalls still getting a go in this beautiful game of ours. Long.
So was it Kieran Lovell played for Hawthorn yesterday at 173 centimetres?
I saw Caleb Daniel put in another really impressive display Thursday night.
Parrish's kick a little wide. Everett. Merritt hassles him and keeps it in. Little tap back in. Parrish left it behind. Graham stolen back. Merritt short. Crowley about to pounce. Smith met him hip and shoulder. Dempsey caught a little high. I'm sure Galucci's happy that he didn't give away a free kick for too high there.
Straight back here.
Goddard. Everett. Dumped by Merritt. Congestions continue. There's a lot of players around this contest. In fact, every player on the ground within one kick of it. So they knock into space. Graham. Gleeson. Donald Tipawungi. And Curnow takes the mark in defence.
Not exactly sure what the rule is these days, how far a kick's got to go, but that certainly wasn't it.
Curnow giving little brother a touch. Long delivery to Phillips, the big loping Phillips. Will he size them up? Jones running back to the square. That was the worst of 3 options.
There's a couple of big lumbering ruckmen. Turn the clock back again to the Simon and Justin Madden show many years ago.
I wonder if we've got that piece of vision. Justin Madden bouncing down the field, poetry and slow motion.
Sean Wren was chasing, I think it was, at Waverley, I think that one was.
Gwilt, wide. Curnow and Gorringe get on each other's way. Almost a throw. Comma.
Throw, just not paid.
Cut off by Rowe. Now, did he have Pryor there? No, thankfully.
Third man up has been discussed. If you're going to leave the ground and leave your side one short, you'd want to make sure you don't hit it directly to the opposition. And there's more to the third man up than simply getting your hand on the ball. You've got to be able to know that there's someone you can Either give it to directly or get it going your way into the outer ring.
Comma. No games last year, injured all season. Crowley, no games last year as well. Still alive. Doherty. Somehow. Scrambled out. Parrish, good hands. The release handball to get them into space. And again, Wiedering with the pick-off mark in defence.
Yeah, there's a number of recruiting staff for Carlton sitting back very comfortable in their chairs at the moment.
Chest has been just puffed out a little bit.
Yep.
Well, they'll be pretty happy. There's not really many scoreboards around Icon Park as well, so they can just cover all the scores up. They'd be pretty happy with what they've got at the moment. Gallucci. Smith, well, he didn't really fly to the right spot there, and easy mark to Hartley in the end.
He read it well, Hartley, and did well.
And another one of those good news stories. Getting a second chance for Essendon, drafted out of the VFL as a mature age recruit.
Saw Harry Mackay there in the number 10, their pick 10 from last year's draft. Mitch Brown. Goddard.
It's going to be an interesting observation, Harry Mackay, David. As you said, he's not a high possession winner. And generally, if you're not a high possession winner in the juniors, you don't all of a sudden become one in the seniors.
No, that's exactly right. He has been drafted on potential, as we say, it's a dirty word in football, but he's just such a big presence out in the field there, Jared. I think with the right education and the right program, which he's going to get here under Brendan Bolton, he could just be anything. He's the perfect frame for AFL football.
15 gone.
Danaher. Speaking of sons of guns, they're everywhere. Joe Danaher, who's been working with Matthew Lloyd, but not for 2016.
That's it.
And he'll be hoping that has been learnt, and that ball drop and that follow through and run up going to be something we see consistently in 2016. Good to see Jack Silvani out there. We didn't see him in the first half. Father, a two-time premiership player. Gee, we could have showed some vision of Sauce that he'd be happy to see re-shown. Darren Milburn not that happy about that.
Now the crowd, they were very animated on this particular day. Darren Milburn early in his career, and he just, there's some crowds you don't want to get under their skin, and certainly the Carlton one isn't one to do that, and they were very, very unhappy. And they're back.
Yeah, the repercussions of that continued on. Long memories, footy fans. Just asked Ryan Crowley today, Zaharakis, and here he is on cue. Crowley.
Darren Milburn hasn't been able to get a spaghetti in Lygon Street for 10 years. It's a 10-year ban put on him.
Yeah.
And he was a great player too, Darren Milburn, by the way. Danaher. Just over the back. Almost Edwards, still almost Edwards. Comes out. Goddard. Stand start. One step. Delivers.
That was just really good hands from Kyle Langford. Just again, I think the most important handball in the game in this era is the handball from inside that pressure zone to outside. Some clubs want to do 5 or 6 handballs, but the quicker you get it out, the better. And here we see the ball won in the heat. And then quickly, good vision, it's out to a space which allows somebody to have a decent shot at goal.
And the fact that Goddard held his width, like stayed out. I mean, there's always a temptation to get into the contest, to try to win the contested ball, but he saw the numbers were in there. He backed his teammates and held his width and executed beautifully. So the leading disposal winners, Graham, leading the way with 19. Zaharakis has been outstanding on the field for the Bombers as well.
Parrish, another touch there. It's a de Crowley. We saw Brendan Bolton on screen in the Carlton coach's box. New coach of the Blues, first time at the helm of an AFL club, even though he did coach Hawthorn for 5 games. Saw Neil Craig as well and John Barker, who've both got senior AFL coaching experience. Neil Craig should know a lot about the Bombers, even though not necessarily about the 12 or 10 top-ups that have been added for 2016.
I think there's a real advantage, or a real opportunity for an advantage for the first club that masters reducing the number of handballs and getting the width as quickly as possible. And I reckon I saw Hawthorn trying to keep their width, as you saw Brendan Goddard do on the weekend. Certainly North Melbourne handballed the ball forward more than I've seen them with longer handballs. And then I've seen half a dozen other clubs just giving Mickey Mouse 1 and 2 metre handballs, racking up stats and going nowhere.
Gorringe, the launch. Here's Curnow. Curnow does well, gets the kick away. And he beat the two of them, at least, Charlie.
You see Goddard coming from the field. He got hit, David King in front of you.
It was quite dangerous, actually. He lowered his head there and took some contact on the back of the neck, sort of head region, grabbed his head straight away. He's been taken from the field. He appears okay, but he was in a very awkward position as he went down.
Yeah, Tutt looked like he was attacking the ball, though, not the player. We might have another look at that before the day's done.
I think they both went down for the ball. It's just that Brendan went down with that front on. And just on Brendan, his first game as captain has been spot on. Worked hard, won the ball, kicked goals, been inspiring.
And not demonstrative at all.
No, he's been excellent.
I think he's learnt to be constructive and not quite as demonstrative with his instructions. Zaharakis.
Another one of the real leaders around the club. Zaharakis looking like he's in very good touch this early stage of the year.
He was on the list in 2012, but he's allowed to play, which is good news for the Bombers. Run down from behind, Simpkin, ball. And this is a chance for a 9-pointer for Ed Curnow.
Well, there's plenty of teammates inboard wanting it. There's plenty of viewers from Ed's junior club wanting to have a shot.
Motawarri.
Another example of a 2-metre handball that does nothing but put your teammate under enormous pressure. Would have been better off holding it himself, getting it wide of the inside contest.
He hasn't got the biggest picture on the wall at Motawarri. I think Gary Abbott's got that. But they'll put a picture up if he gets in some Sharons.
Oh, he's right.
He's slotted the 9 from there.
That's one thing Gary never did. That's win them a dozen Sharons, or how many ever it is. There's the Mickey Mouse 2-metre handball. Instinctive. But just applying pressure rather than relieving pressure. And that's a great shot.
Beautiful shot. Just got over the line by a metre.
And the goal umpire equal to the occasion, I think.
Yeah, it's very good.
Yep. NAB sending some Sharons down to
Motawarri. Main spirit of Essendon trying to block that one going through.
Again, Motawarri getting those footies, not Geelong College.
I think that's probably the way to go.
Been a great school though, Geelong College. Quite a few evolved into the system, and Charlie Curnow, yet another Geelong College, Geelong Falcons, of course. Tui thumbs that one out.
Captain's all good to go, boys. He's back out in the field. Brendan Goddard just making his way from this stoppage into the forward 50. And you can just see his instruction today. It's not demonstrative, as you spoke of earlier. Really instructional to his younger teammates, where to stand, both defensively and offensively around these stoppages.
And there he is, Zaharakis, gives it inside 50. And there's been quite a few captains. Wiedering again.
That was a classic example of Wiedering dropping off his opponent and filling that void in front of the leading forward.
And the turnover, Crowley. About to launch it back. Edwards on his own.
He's opened up. He's got some spares. This is just Chinese checkers all the way to goal.
Wiedering had 3 players to pick up. I know he's the #1 draft pick, but he was never going to be able to do that.
So Jackson Merritt lines up. Been quite a few captains who've learnt how to captain after a first couple of years. There was criticism of Nathan Buckley for a little while, but became one of the great captains as well. And they'll need some captaining this year, the Essendon football team.
It's going to take some patience as well from Brendan Goddard. As you said, he's a real competitor. That's got him to the level that he's at as far as a footballer is concerned. But you have got a compromise list. You've got some experienced players that have played their best football and some young players that are going to be exposed to senior football before their time is right.
Wiedering 7 marks now for Wiedering. Wiedering to Curnow. Well, over the back, and Hartley took the mark.
But the definition for success this year for Essendon changes completely. It's not about wins and losses. It's how much prepared they are, or how more prepared they are for an assault on the finals next year than they would be otherwise.
All to the back, don't forget after this one. Next on Fox Footy, the NAB challenge from Mount Barker, Fremantle and Adelaide. Plenty of footy coming your way on Fox Footy. Every game live in high definition and ad-free siren to siren. And tomorrow night a new show added to the Fox Footy, Fox Sports News Network. It's 5 o'clock tomorrow night and 7 o'clock on Fox Footy. You can catch that with Sarah Jones at the helm. A new edition for Fox Footy in 2016 as we ramp up our AFL coverage even further. So stick around after this one as the NAB challenge continues.
The very crowded centre bounce, bounce here, Kingy. I thought there was a little gem there, a message from Simon Madden when you were talking to him, to all the other ruck coaches. What about trying a wider hit?
Yeah, it was loud and clear. We have received his invoice too, by the way, Simon. He hasn't missed us. But I think his message is right. This is the next step for AFL football, is being able to score more effectively from stoppages. The game is very much like a big game of chess at the moment, very orchestrated by the coaches, very defensively minded. Clearance is a king.
Wiedering did pretty well there, kept his front spot, brought it to ground, kept it in the area, ball.
Very good, strong tackle. Watched the hips, drove the shoulder in.
And it gets to a point, Kingy, where you look at Fremantle, they're trying to find a way to get an extra couple of goals to win the premiership. And they've got Aaron Sandlands, and we've seen him do the pop tap into space to Nat 5, so damaging. And yet primarily he still drops it on his defensive hip. Maybe we'll see more of those knockouts into space.
I think you're right. I think that's the next part of AFL football. If you've got an advantage, you've got to work out how to maximise that. The Sandlands has an advantage that most teams don't have.
Mackay feeds forward long, and he's got it. Another of the new recruits for the Blues, picked 10 in last year's draft. Harry Mackay to line up.
They've been better in this quarter, Carlton, more competitive, worked harder through the midfield. And yeah, some of the youngsters just starting to work into the game after a very sluggish start.
Got to stay in Victoria. The 18-year-old through the draft, Warrigal. And a pretty good effort with that. There's his first of hopefully many.
Here's some highlights from his National Championship days. Playing there as full forward for Vic Country. Nice left foot kick. Very athletic. And areas to work on, probably agility, and his power will come as a big man. But his speed's fairly good. Bit of a Podsy Adley sort of type of athletic capabilities. But he'll be looking to work on his power and his speed as he gets a few years in the gym.
Walking through today, I was talking to a few of the Carlton aficionados, and they were just rapt to have another Harry back at the club.
There's not many Harrys.
Or another Mackay, if you like, as well.
Well, they have to get this draft correct. 4 picks in the top 23 selections. When you look at their first round picks between 2008 and 2012, they're all no longer at the club. You're talking about Yaron, Kane Lucas, Matthew Watson, Josh Bootsma, Troy Menzel. They're no longer here, and that's a 5-year void in their list profile.
There's been some changes at the recruiting staff level. So it's been recognised, and Steve Silvani is now the man in charge, and that is an excellent mark.
Rowe in defence, read that beautifully. Andreas Everett heads wide. Curnow. Charlie hugs the boundary long towards Mackay. Siren sounds though, beats them all. Lays a strong tackle on the buzzer. Crowd enjoying this.
Happening. Big Harry Mackay was involved as well.
Charlie Curnow won't mind getting in the middle of it. Young recruits supporting the young recruits. They've sorted themselves out, and it is three-quarter time. Back to the huddles, boys. 74 plays, 31. As I mentioned, next on Fox Footy, NAB challenge from Mount Barker in WA. Fremantle up against Adelaide. Wall-to-wall footy on Fox Footy. Three-quarter time here at Icon Park, and the Bombers still in control. Blue sky still hovering above at Icon Park. Just a stone throw from the Melbourne CBD. And the Bombers have come to play with their new look outfit. They lead at three-quarter time by 43 points after they did lead by 46 points at half-time. And there's been a lot to take out of this game so far, and for the Blues fans, that scoreline can be ignored if you consider the performance of one Jacob Wiedering and the other, of course, being Jack Silvani, playing his first AFL game after being drafted by the Blues. Father-son has picked 53. Serge Silvani, tears, the whole family there. Serge, two-time premiership player. Dad, a two-time premiership player. And you can see the whole journey, that full story on March 15 on Fox Footy. Well, it's from legend to legend to legend. David King's downstairs, and he's got another of the all-time greats. Welcome back to you, Kingy.
He is an all-time great, the Norman Smith medalist, not the Brownlow medalist that Gerard Healy gave you early. 190 games of AFL football, 9 here. Michael Long, welcome to the coverage. What are your memories of Princes Park?
It was always tight clashes here against Carlton. You know, that you always had that rivalry against both clubs. You know, two very strong clubs.
Been some interesting feedback whilst we're sitting here. The Carlton supporters hanging over the fence saying that definitely Steve Silvani touched that ball on the goal line.
I reckon I was closer. I saw it a bit more, but Steve's admitted it to me. He hasn't touched it. So, but isn't it great that these young fellas playing today, and you know, obviously the young fellas playing as well. But fantastic for both families.
How's he going, Jake? What have you seen? He said 7 possessions, kicked a goal.
Yeah, look, he's got a bit of a touch of it. Now, obviously, it's given him an opportunity, given what's happened, the circumstances with Essendon. So, you know, he's worked pretty hard. He's had his full pre-season this year, so now he's taken it.
Longy, you'd be very happy with what you're seeing out there today. It's been a tough period for Essendon, as you touched on, but plenty to like out there with the young players and the top-up players.
Yeah, it is. I suppose the mixture. Look, there's a lot of experience in the top-up players, so that's going to count for something. And then you have the youth, but you know, there's no, you know, we're in a situation we've got to deal with, and you know, we're just going to take it from here. And today's probably a good start for the club.
A terrific start. There's been some really impressive young players. Longy, you went through a rebuild of sorts with Sheeds. He was always on the rebuild every 6 or 7 years, and the Baby Bombers and the Premiership was one in the early 90s that came before its time.
Yeah, it was, and it was a mixture from 1990 and 93 that, you know, we had those young kids and a mixture of experience. So who knows what might happen this year, and I suppose the picks that we might pick up next year if we finish down the ladder, you know, that the mix of that could change next year. Who knows?
So what's a win, Longy, do you think, for the Bombers this year? I mean, every club goes in, you're looking to win as many games as you possibly can. So what's a pass mark for the Bombers, you think, this year, as we can see your son, Jake, on screen now?
Yeah, well, I suppose it's given those players an opportunity for this year. But, I mean, like, it's a real big hole that's been left there, and the amount of players and experience that are not playing this year. So, you know, I think obviously we know where we're at, and we've got a lot of work to do, but you know, that's where we're at in this time, in this period. But you know, they're a proud club and a history like the Carlton Football Club, and they're rebuilding as well. But you know, this is something that I don't think we've seen in the AFL, what's happened here and the players that have come in. So it's unpredictable.
Silvani might kick his first goal. Sorry, Longy, just
I was just going to say that was touched.
Very nice work. Very nice work. Back to you, Michael Long. You're talking to Jared Healy.
Longy, you were one of the great entertainers. So exciting to watch. Who excites you when you go to the footy or see it on Fox Footy? Who do you like tuning in to have a look at?
I love watching Jeff Carlton. I just think his pace and versatility is unpredictable. I can't go past my nephew as well, but I always love watching Jeff Carlton. A bit of David King in him as well, and the way he runs. He'd never handball. David never handball.
We'll let you head back into the stands and watch Sun go around. I think he's preparing to come back on shortly. Michael, it's been an absolute pleasure to have you have a chat to us on Fox Footy. Thanks for your time.
Thanks, Wayne. Thanks, Jared.
One of the all-time greats, Michael Long, did a lot for the game, did a lot for the Indigenous players coming to the game and still doing a lot for the game, it must be said. Fantasia towards half forward. Good mark taken again on the run by Michael. And he thumps it. Danaher, Grimley both down there. And Rowe read it better than everyone. It's good to see so many of the old greats still coming to the game, Jared and Alistair. There are so many that we run into. It's evolved, it's a different game, but it's still loved by many.
Yeah. I think it's fantastic, particularly where these two clubs are. Dwayne, they're at the bottom, they're at the start of rebuilds, certainly Carlton are anyway. Essendon are an extraordinary set of circumstances, and the more legends and players that contribute to the rebuild, the better.
And there's excitement around the place from the past players on a day like this, getting back to Princes Park.
Danaher, he's got Grimley lurking. Put it in front, he really has to work for it. Rose trying to cut him down. He had Merritt screaming for it back inside.
Yeah, he had tunnel vision.
Yeah, just a lack of composure. Had a bit more time.
Actually started with Joe Danaher. That kick needed to be better. He was under no pressure. And in real-time AFL footy, when the whips are cracking in a couple of weeks' time, his coach will expect that hits the target.
Silvani. Good handball over the shoulder.
This bloke's improved. This bloke has dead set improved over the pre-season on the showing over the last two matches. Except he's run too far there and got away with it.
Yeah, got one for too high on the 50. They used pick 19 to get him, Blaine Boakhurst, so they invested a late first rounder for him as Ashby has a couple of problems.
Gets a call from Dylan Buckley, but ignores him. But that's what you want to see from the young players. Back yourself, and if you're going to run too far, you'd rather them err on the side of running too far or getting caught rather than getting rid of the ball too early.
Struck it well, and it bent a little too far. We saw over 20,000 at Simmons Stadium in Geelong, and they watched the ripper unfold on Friday night. They're telling me close to 20, if not just over 20,000 here at Icon Park again today. What a great day for footy it is. Here's Long, Everett. Long, still a chance to set it all up. Does, and Merritt doesn't get the goal that he screamed for early. Jackson Merritt messes it up.
You're spot on, Dwayne. Just been given the official number, 18,718, but it feels like more than that. It's got a great atmosphere about it.
Princes Park has always felt like it's a bigger crowd. You know, get the high 20s, but it always felt like a 40, 50,000.
It's been a good weekend for the NAB Challenge. I think it started particularly well with the Bulldogs putting on a great display against a bit of an understrength GWS, but they wouldn't have lost any supporters at all. They were superb. And then Friday night, it was a phenomenal game, and it just shows that the standard can be set. You don't have to play your best side, but if you can put on a show that gets people talking about you, your club, and the competition, that's a win.
Hard hit by Buckley. Put on McDonald, Tippin Woody, and he's slowly got up. Looks okay.
Just a little bump off the ball.
Yeah.
He just wasn't ready. I think that was the main part there. He just wasn't braced for it.
And just to finish your point, Jared, that might be the best pre-season game I've ever seen Friday night between Collingwood and Geelong. Big leap, no mark taken by Phillips.
It was a beauty, wasn't it?
Buckhurst. And speaking of Princes Park and big crowds, the crowd roared when this happened.
There was more a groan from the Carlton faithful when Their favourite son, Jezza, goes down with a big hit from Stan Magro.
Yeah, one of the big hits that still gets replayed quite a bit. Eleni Gluftis, first female field umpire, taking charge today and done an exceptional job. Bombers to come away with it. Quilp, Simpkin, as you heard the call, not 15. Gleeson.
They've done this well all day, Essendon.
Jackson Merritt gets a chance to, well, he didn't. That's close to ball.
That's good defence.
It's an exit kick out of the back half, wasn't it?
What Essendon have done well is they've held a bit of a forward structure. Carlton have pushed up trying to press and keep the ball in their forward line, but they have always kept a couple there that if they get the fast break, they've been able to score, and it's going to be part and parcel of the game if Collingwood's performance is anything to go by on Friday night. Their transitional running and their fast break slingshot footy, Kingy, I know you saw it. It was first class for this early in the year.
It's all about ball movement, obtaining yours and denying the opposition's, and this round has been really impressive. There's about 3 or 4 teams that have shown what they can do. It's exciting for 2016.
And Jared, I think we're going to see more of that, of trying to stretch the zone by holding a deep player. So, I mean, I'd be happy for my team to be going 17-18 up the ground, and I'll pull a forward 50 metres out by himself, puts enormous pressure on the opposition, and if you get it out, you've got an easy go, and I think we'll see more of that with the limited rotations as well, trying to conserve energy with some players.
Yeah, I think you're spot on. I mean, right now, Carlton haven't got a bloke in their forward half of the ground.
No, that's right.
And Essendon have got 3. So all of a sudden we get this situation. He's got nowhere to go. He's got to have really hard support, and he's going to rely on somebody being super quick. And they've actually worked that one reasonably well.
So the back 3 were Essendon players, so I'd like to see even the exaggerated top of the goal square of 20 metres out, put one there, and let's make the Essendon defenders then make a decision. Do we pull out of our structure, or are we going to leave him back there?
Particularly for blokes like Tom Hawkins, who he got sucked up the ground a fair bit. You've got to ask yourself, okay, what do I do if my defender goes up the ground? Well, I mean, that's a roll the dice situation.
And you've got enough players up there to cover him.
Dylan Buckley to finish off that. Good work. He sprays it, and it probably won't score.
You're right, though. If you drag your key forward, a big power forward like that, and he's taking marks on the half-back flank, beautiful. That won't hurt the opposition as much as let's try to stretch the zone and hold our key back where he's dangerous.
Yeah, listening to Fremantle, one of the Fremantle players during the week suggesting they're going to try and hold Silvani back so he's able to kick a few more goals than he has done in recent times. And I think we'll see that right across the board.
Tui gets a chance to grab and run here. Jones is screaming for it out wide. Goes to Ed Curnow instead. Heads toward Mackay, used his body well. Silvani, Mackay, the 2 youngsters that think their way through it. Silvani inside. And no mark. Graham put it to grass.
He's going to be handy for Carlton. At the moment, their midfield is one of their strengths, but it's not on display at the moment. But the inclusion of Matt Wright from the Crows, I think, is going to be a super picker. Kerridge as well. They've, in the off-season, sneakily just build up a couple of other 25 possession getters, and they are gold when you're trying to compete at the top end.
Off the ball.
Gallucci's had a lot to say. I think the Carlton fans have enjoyed his work. They're booing Goddard.
And is that another free kick against?
And I think the Carlton fans want to see a few more.
Yeah, no, I think it's fantastic. And he's still going on against the opposition skipper.
I think the umpire actually supported him and said to Goddard, just go back and have your kick.
So he'll be starting his pretty much his 4th year of senior football after his time in the VFL.
On the rookie list, yet to play an AFL game against a bloke who has played 269 of them. Kick squeezed out. Play on the call, Silvani. No prior. Crown one in the back and he gets it.
Hometowner, a magnificent hometowner.
Yeah, politically very astute decision, I would have thought.
It was there, but it was very quick to get the whistle to the mouth.
Byrne, the Irishman with the sidestep.
Well, they're up in the about, the Carlton faithful. Great to see.
And we'll have to think about playing some games here.
There's the worst decisions the AFL can make. It's a fantastic venue.
There's that long driving kick. He's Wiedering up. Just misread that. Yeah, he got the free.
Well, this has been a pretty impressive debut from a guy that's had the media microscope on him for the best part of 12 months. He has delivered in his first game.
Yeah, there's sometimes the ball and chain that comes with pick one. Certainly not the ball and chain for Jacob Wiedering. He's enjoyed every second. Tui.
Well, that was just a kick without thinking.
And just a kick.
Darcy Parish.
Nice old floater.
Again, trying to use the width. Gleeson sits it up. Danaher to fly. Spills it. Was there for him. Long.
They're the marks that Simon Madden was talking about. He's got to swallow though. He's got to be stronger. He's got to have softer hands to make sure that they just are stuck. And he's got to be able to withstand some body pressure when his arms are knocked and rocked. You can't rely on the umpire to hand deliver it.
I think Ham's going to have to pick the grass from his teeth there. He face planted trying to grab this one.
Yeah, a bit of a divot as he just goes to ground. Just spills it before it goes over the line.
McKernan.
Yeah, good move.
That is delightful.
Good play.
And the finish. So it's been a while since we've seen AFL footy played here. We've got 20-odd thousand here today. Not many spare seats. And the crowd have always enjoyed coming here. This is the last time they came here for a real AFL game. Round 10, 1992. Just some names involved here.
Some names, and late in the afternoon, I think this piece of vision's getting dark. Kerner's 7 goals. He's kicked some super goals here at this venue over a long time. This is one of the greats. David Rhys-Jones played some of his best football centre-half back. Kicked a great goal on that day.
Brings a smile to your face. Darcy Parish, one of the new brigade. Bombs. Danaher caught behind. Crowley. Zaharakis. Didn't want to have a crack for 9. Danaher can line up. Now he struck the last one sweetly. Let's see if he strikes this one sweetly as well.
Moved fairly well, as Jared was saying. Just dropped a couple of marks, but his work rate has certainly been up there. Looking to take his game to another level this season, as he is becoming one of the leaders around the club.
For his 3rd for the afternoon. Struck that one pretty well. There you go. Could be the new Joe Danaher in 2016.
And it makes a difference if you're converting shots from deep in the pocket like that. You can turn an average game into a very good one with those sort of conversions. See that good clearance out there. He didn't go to ground in that marking contest, which is really important. So he held his feet, presented a second option, and then it was the composure of Zaharakis, who's had a good game today to use the ball short rather than panicking and blazing away towards the top of the goal square.
Everybody getting through unscathed. A couple of super goals this afternoon, which is nice to see as well. Wiley, good tackle from behind Zach Merritt. Attack from Darcy Parish. Tie off the deck, Clem Smith. Rodney Dempsey, Zach Merritt, James Gwilt holding the ball.
Important year for Nick Comer coming up.
Yep.
Lynchy was really exciting in his first year, and then he went missing to a large degree last season. And he's obviously got a big chance to rack up some games and develop this year.
He missed the whole season with knee problems last year, but he's moved pretty well today. Parrish tried the quick handball on the run.
That's the thing, when you're making those comebacks from bad injuries like your knee, you just want to get through a good pre-season, get the first couple of practice matches under your belt and launch into the season. When he debuted a couple of years ago, you thought he might be a very handy rebounding defender.
Always good to see a player coming back from knee problems, playing a game without any knee bandages as well, and Comma doesn't have any on. And at this stage of the game, both teams just hoping to get through without any further injuries. It comes out to Fantasia, set it up. Rowe playing in front. Wiedering, good use, just over the head, but mopped up. Plenty of runners here for the Blues out the back. McDonald, Tippermungi, and Smith over the top of him. McDonald, Tippermungi, wide to Comma. Out on the full. Doherty, Wiedering, Rowe. He can go. And again, they've got the spare man. Gallucci's the long man. And the short man gets the long one. He's off. Open space. Silvani ahead. Has to go to Sanasos in the one-on-one, surely. Gleeson. Good work. Zaharakis. Zach Merritt. Zaharakis. Run down by Gallucci. Tackling's good. Curnow lays a ripper. Turnover.
Bokhurst chasing defence from the Blues.
Long bomb, Mackay, can he get there? He can't, it's over his head.
Went too far for Carlton, just needed to be just in play. Would have been a nice easy mark in the goal square. So, yeah, good intensity for both teams, good work from Carlton.
A bit for the assistant coaches to go to work with. We had Clem Smith go for a hanger here. He was 2-on-1 against one opponent. He could have knocked it over to Bokhurst. That time Bokhurst blazing away. Got to be more structured.
Half the field available for Grimley. He didn't want to run it in.
No. He had three players closing rapidly.
Let's have a look at this mark. You can see there it's a 2-on-1. He can either knock the ball over, okay, it's a NAB Cup, go for the mark if you like, but Bokhurst could have just run forward. He taps it on and they had the whole paddock, but it was actually a turnover and the Bombers should have got a shot at goal.
And from a highlight point of view, he probably jumped over him. He needed to get on his shoulders to stay up there.
Fantasia. Mitch Brown.
Just go back to Jacob Wiedering again. It's one of the more, I mean, not saying he's got the 3 votes or anything for the day, but one of the more complete debuts that I've seen from a young man. I mean, he looks like he's a 23-year-old defender that's been playing in the SANFL for 4 or 5 seasons.
Yeah, the intercept element of his game is what's ahead of its time.
That's right, that composure, know when to drop off your man, know when to mark, know when to spoil. I think some really exciting times for Carlton, and what Bryce Gibbs has seen today from some of these youngsters, although the scoreboard hasn't gone their way, I think he'd be pretty pleased.
Pretty good when you can rack up some champion data points when you're not on the ground.
You know, you're in for a big year.
Yeah, Bryce Gibbs, Andrew Walker, Mark Murphy, Patrick Cripps, Matthew Cruiser, Dale Thomas, Dennis Armfield, and the man you mentioned earlier, Jared, there should be a good pickup, Matthew Wright.
Yep.
He's a ball getter, hard at it.
So where do you see Carlton this year, Jared?
I see them just what they're doing, and that's midway through at the start of a rebuild. They'll win some games, they'll get some trouncings, but I think at the end of this season, if they can, bank 15 odd games into their new recruits, get some wins and build some confidence around the place, they'll walk away happy.
So short term, you can't see them getting out of the bottom 4.
Oh, I wouldn't have thought so.
No.
Kyle Langford, this will only be for 6.
But if they can get their full side together, they won't be easy beats. They'll get some scalps.
Crowley out of the square, bumped out of it, and Wiedering on cue takes another intercept mark, a contested mark as well with the use of his body.
That was a classic example of an experienced defender, the way he used his body and the awareness of what's around him. So he drops to his right just to clear the path so he can take an easy chest mark. So blocks his man, legitimately, blocks Crowley, but just drops in front of him, then takes an easy mark, has the composure to stop, look around, then reset.
Yeah, he knew where his man was without touch or having to look at him.
Yep.
McKernan, short. Silvani with the spoil. Donald tipping Woody.
Good hands. That's just really good.
His man Crowley.
Good vision.
So Ryan Crowley to have the last say of the afternoon after he had the first say and the crowd had their say early. Had a big smile. Well, you do the crime, you do the time, you come back and forgive and forget. Even though the Blues fans haven't necessarily forgotten. Been a good afternoon at the office for the Bombers, it must be said. And the goal to finish it all off.
And the Bombers fans will be pretty happy with what they've seen. I think Ryan Crowley would as well. Had a very good introduction in the first 10-15 minutes of the game. And they've moved the ball very well. It's going to be a tough year in some ways, but they've brought in some experience and still some more experience to come in the coming months that will complement them in the short term once their fitness gets up to speed. But yeah, a lot to like about the Essendon youngsters and, for that matter, some of the Carlton youngsters as well.
Well, he'd be pretty happy, John Morsfold, to get away, to go over there and have a win of sorts. It's NAB Cup, no 4 points, but going to be a really good week and a better week with a win on the board. David King.
Ryan, firstly, welcome back. How'd you find it today out there?
Oh, it's pretty exciting, King. I was nervous the whole week. It's funny, I played a lot of footy, but felt like an 18-year-old again, missing 18 months worth of footy, and it's been a long 18 months, so just glad to be back.
It'd be great to be amongst this group. There's a lot of challenges in front of the Essendon Football Club. We know all of that. But to get back in and be a senior body again and a leader.
They're a great group of guys. A lot of young talent, but they're just so thirsty to learn and just want to listen, ask them questions. They're actually bugging me a bit, how many questions to ask them, but you've got to love that. So it's a great place to be at the moment.
The days of tagging gone. You look like you're getting forward, you're kicking goals, you're a ball winner again.
I just got a goal, but it's good. John's got a few different philosophies and about where he's going to play me, but I'm sure there'll be times when if a guy gets away I might go to him, but I don't think it'll be every week, which is quite exciting. So.
How different is it being coached by John Worsfold, his philosophies on the game?
Yeah, John's such a positive guy, he's just such a really calming influence. He's just been great since about the club, and it's just you got different perceptions of guys from the outside, but once you get in there, he's actually a really nice guy. I used to not like him as at West Coast, so it's good. Yeah.
Go and enjoy this one, mate.
Thanks a lot, King. Thanks a lot, mate. Great to be here. Thanks.
Yeah. That's fantastic to hear the excitement, the enthusiasm from an experienced player like Ryan Crowley. He's played some big games with Freo over the years, done some great jobs, but he genuinely is excited about what's ahead for him and the club.
He would be, and I'm sure Essendon fans are pretty happy with what they saw today. They would have been wrapped with David Zaharakis as well. He's just under 30 possessions. If he can produce that sort of form on a regular basis, along with Zach Merritt, who also had big numbers through the middle, then it's not going to be the horrific season that many predicted.
Mitch Brown has come into the side as well, and their first draft pick from last year, Darcy Parish, showed enough to think he's going to play some football this year.
So the Bombers by 60 points, but it wasn't really about the score. Hope you enjoyed a look back in time at Icon Park and the look forward into the future for both teams. 20,000 fans here packed the stadium in bright sunshine and had a magnificent day of entertainment. But stick around if you're watching on Fox Footy. NAB Challenge continues from Mount Barker in WA. Fremantle up against the Adelaide Crows next on Fox Footy.
This has been a Fox Footy production, part of the Fox Sports Network.